back on another exciting episode of Starfleet Board, where we have a casual and informal conversation about Star Trek. Today, we're talking about Star Trek Lower Decks, Episode 3. We'll always have Tom Paris. And I'm joined today by a brand new guest on the show, Giselle Ricks, a.k.a. Matt. Hello, welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for being on. This is so cool. And we have our usual suspects, PJ and Toddy, as well. So I welcome you and thanks for coming on. We have a couple folks in the chat already. We've got Blue, we've got Geek in Review, we've got Braxton. Yo, Braxton, hope you're feeling good. And then PE, parentheses, I. So welcome, guys. Welcome. Tell us your thoughts in the chat so we can talk about it. But before we get started, Matt, would you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into Star Trek and anything else?
I would love to. I'm one of those people, I watched Next Gen growing up with my family, and I got hooked. My family's watched it since TOS was originally airing. I actually ran a role-playing fleet in Star Trek Online for about 7 years.
Wow.
So
I don't know what that is, but it sounds impressive.
A lot of time. A lot of doing nothing but sitting on my computer.
That's amazing.
But it was a lot of fun. I got to network with a lot of people, and that's what Star Trek's about: bringing everybody together and making everybody happy.
It totally is. And you love ships.
I am a self-proclaimed ship whore. I have the USS Cerritos with us today.
I'm gonna put you full screen here. Look at this beautiful model.
still needs painted and glued in some spots, but
very cool. I loved your
happy to have her.
Where you pointed out the absurd size of the Cerritos in the new Star Trek ships book by Eagle Moss.
Yeah, I was surprised that made it through publishing, but I'm hoping it's just a foreshadowing for some incredible episode where the USS Cerritos gets like quadrupled in size. And
what happened? I'm unaware of this. What happened?
There's an update to a book I think that Eagle Moss released before, where it just like, oh cool, he's gonna bring it on. That's awesome. By the way, this is an unsolicited shout out to Eagle Moss, but so there's this book.
Shout out criticism
and a criticism too.
Yeah.
So there's this book that Eagle Moss puts out with just ships and their stats and comparisons, right? Like things like that, just like info about ships. And the latest version has this size comparison. And if you look here, I'm gonna put your full screen again. You can see like the Cerritos is like it's bigger than the.
That's not okay. So that's not the scale, right?
No. That is supposed to be the size.
It's supposed
chart.
to be the scale.
But actually,
pass
what was
to
cool,
it, like the small little shuttle down there. Fucking hell.
But what was cool about Matt's tweet was that Mike McMahon himself apologized and was like, that was a mistake. They got the wrong information.
Yeah, clearly. That's the
believe...
USS Cerritos J, right?
Or if we quote one of our other lovely little Paul Sutherland said, it's the USS Cerritos in the Kelvin timeline. So
they made it massive.
That's so true. That's amazing. But it was a cool interaction, and so actually I think that book's a collector's item now because they're gonna revise it and put out on the next edition a different version. So I'm gonna buy that book just so I can have the ginormous Cerritos.
The fake one. It's a fake.
It's a fake. But anyways, so yeah, that's very cool. Well, thank you for sharing a little bit about your story, and we're so glad to have you, and you're welcome anytime. Who wants to do the episode summary this week? I feel like Toddy should do it since he loved this episode.
I really did enjoy it.
So,
I got angry reading Gary's email. I haven't even.
Wow.
How dare you?
We got a little remote correspondence. I'll share a little bit of that too. I got that email.
Like, what are you talking about? Are you nuts?
But hey, it's good. Everyone has their opinion, and that's what this show. These are our fresh takes because it just came out today. I only got to see it once. I don't know how many times you all saw it.
I've only seen it once so far.
Once too.
Just the once, yeah.
All right, I'll do a very quick, speedy recap if that's okay.
All right, go.
It's like A plot, B plot, C plot, basically. A plot is Mariner and Tindy. Yeah, there is. Oh no, there isn't. Is there? Wait
Yeah,
a minute.
there's
I'm confusing
there's
myself.
there's Shaxs,
Yeah,
there's
that's
Mariner
it. Yeah,
and
there's
Tindy, and then
Shaxs.
there's
Okay, so
yeah, and then
A
there's
plot,
Paris
Mariner and Tindy
and Boimler.
go off on a special mission to go get like a family heirloom for Dr. Tanya that is going through basically Cat Pongfa. So she needs a scratching post or whatever it is. It's revealed later on that she needs
She's
a
in
box.
heat. Let's just say it.
Yeah, she's got the cat heats. And so she needs a special object to be able to, cool down, I guess. And so we have Mariner and Tindy off on an adventure. They try to get the post. Of course, Mariner screws everything up because she wants to look at it and breaks it. So then they have to go and try and fix it. They go find Mariner's sleazy friends. Then they have to get money. That goes wrong. It gets even more broken. Then they have to go and meet Orion's and Tindy's family. And it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. I loved it. We'll get into that. And that goes wrong, but everything turns out for the best once they get home because it turns out, Tanya needed the box. B plot is, I guess, Boimler is the B plot. I would say. Basically, he's not being acknowledged by the ship for some friggin' weird-ass reason. Like, the ship no longer authorizes him. Like, the ship doesn't think it's him, and so the doors won't open.
They have enhanced security protocols, and for some reason,
Nothing's happening. And this is happening at the most disturbing moment for him because one of his heroes, Tom Paris, Lieutenant Tom Paris, is aboard the ship. And he's got the commemorative plate and everything. He wants to go meet the guy, so he ends up going through the the Jeffries tubes, falling on him, getting beaten up. It's a whole thing.
Because he looks like a
Because he looks like a Kazon. And then the C plot is basically Rutherford's having trouble basically grasping the fact that Shaxs is back, and no one warned me. No one told me in advance that Shaxs was back, but Shaxs is back. And Rutherford can't get over it because he wants to know why he's back and how he's back.
Like everyone on the internet.
He got the off-screen explanation, and so the takeaway is we don't want that because then our lives will be completely traumatized.
First, you see the Black Mountain.
You know what the Black Mountain is? And
where you have to fight 3 people. Yeah.
3 versions of yourself, or something.
That's pretty much it.
It's like crazy.
That's the episode summary, I guess.
Very good. That was very succinct. I appreciate that. Cool. So yes, I guess we should start with Shaxs Back, baby. Like, what did you guys think of that?
I gotta be honest, I think the nod to having no main cast members ever die in Star Trek is such a great, just succinct little, nod to the originals. I love the way that Lower Decks does all of those references. They do it so tastefully, and it's just like, well, yeah, of course he's back. He's a bridge officer.
When I was watching it and they showed him at the replicator, I actually got chills. I was like, huh! like the same as Rutherford, and I was like, what? And I was surprised at how creeped out I was by it.
I'm confused now though. By what happened to Keithshan?
He's there. He was there in the episode. Yeah, he was still there.
He's still there. Okay, but is Shaxs legitimately back here, or are they just?
I don't trust. I don't even know.
I don't trust it. I think it's all a fake out. Like, I'm sitting there the whole thing. I'm like, this has to be revealed as like Rutherford's gone insane or something. Like, this is him, and then I thought it was like his implant, but then all of the other characters, they're like, yeah, Shaxs is back.
Everyone sees him.
I don't get it. What the hell?
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, it's weird how they were all so dismissive of it. Like, Mariner was dismissive. Like, and then that poor engineer.
The ensign that felt out of character for the chief engineer though. The yelling at him.
Yeah, Billups is usually like so sweet, and like he's just like, you're getting transferred to another department. So that was very interesting and weird.
Well, think about all the Lower Decks crew on the Enterprise when Spock came back, or when they see like half Romulan Tashiar, I was like, what's up with this? Like, they see a second Riker, and like there's all of these
no context.
Yeah, it's like, how? Who else has come back to life? Kirk has died a couple of times, hasn't he?
Yeah, I feel like
Scotty's
died. It's true.
And I did love that they went through and Mariner and Boimler went back and forth on all the different ways that we've seen people come back to life. Oh, well, there's the Nexus, there was the transporters, there was the cloning, there was the Borg, there was the... Yeah, exactly. As if all of this is just, common knowledge for lower deckers. That it's just part of Starfleet, that if you make it to be, one of the bridge crew, you're basically immortal. That's fine.
I mean, Shaxs' experience seems pretty unique. Like, he saw some pirates or something. I don't know. Like, something happened to him.
I honestly thought they would use the fact that he was Bajoran, and, the prophets brought him back, or, something. I was kind of surprised.
He saw the Cisco.
Yeah, exactly.
Cisco
brought him back.
That would be so amazing. I'm having a technical difficulty here, so don't mind me. I'm going to be a little distracted, but carry on. I'll be right back.
So does it take away from his sacrifice that he's just back just like that?
I think
because I look at Spock in Star Trek 2. His sacrifice is still meaningful, even though the next one is about.
I would agree.
Him returning.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think the only problem with Spock's return is the name of the movie. I think the Search for Spock is not a good. That's a spoiler title.
Well, it's because Gene Roddenberry already spoiled it, for everyone.
Everybody knew, back then.
Yeah.
Still, I would have named it something else. But yeah, it doesn't take away. At the moment, I think we don't have. I think we don't have the full Shaxs story. Like, they can't just leave it like that. It feels incomplete in a sense. I like the way that it's incomplete. Like, there's a joke about it being incomplete, but it also kind of feels that way.
If it
like,
turns
they
out,
gotta wrap this up.
If it turns out that there's no twist to it and that he really is just back and that's it, and we'll never talk about it again, he's just there now.
There will be an episode about what happened to him at some point.
That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I think that if this is not some kind of trick and he really is back, I think they won't bring it up, because the whole point of this episode was Rutherford's insatiable curiosity of, like, how, when everybody just seems to know or don't or just care. Like, it could have been any number of things that Mariner had mentioned, but the fact that they address it, that's what I wanted them to do in it, because I knew I would have been pissed off if, like, there was not that encounter. And when the Shaxs started to explain it, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then it fades off and you're not really meant to know what it is. I was like, oh, that's clever. And I didn't find it funny, but I thought it was quite amusing.
Thing that it's not a thing, I guess.
Yeah, it's like they're asking us as well as everybody else to just don't ask questions. And I like how there's one really funny moment when
it was Future guy.
Shaxs warns him of the trauma that this knowledge may cause, and he's like, it's okay, perfect. And he's like, he doesn't care. Totally... He just wants to know. But he is a little bit traumatized afterwards. You can tell he's a bit. Do
you think he's gonna carry that in, like, future episodes and seasons? Or do you think we're never gonna go back to that?
I don't think it's that deep.
So what happens if, like, the next time Shaxs is gonna sacrifice himself or something? Like, Rutherford just freaks the fuck out.
If they do that, I don't know how I'd feel about him dying again.
He dies every season finale.
Oh my god, that could be a running joke every season.
Shaxs
dies and comes back, and they never get into why. They just, like, some vague kind of, like, it's like, Bill up, shut up, go away, don't ask questions.
It is weird, like, Keithshan's replaced him on the bridge, but, like, what's Shaxs' job now? Like, does he just, like, walk around
He's chief of ghosts.
Yes.
Chief of ghosts.
He's chief of the pirates.
That's one of the things I love about Lower Decks too. Is I've told some other people that don't necessarily like the whole humor of Star Trek and everything, with Lower Decks and the way they go about it. And I feel like this is perfect. That, like, the normal non-animated Star Trek I always see as, like, that's your captain's log. This is what happened. These are the details. This is how we did it, and this is how we solved it. Whereas Lower Decks always feels like you're talking to, like, Neelix or a Klingon about what happened, and you're not 100% sure if all those details are right there and what's, like, been played up and what's, fake and everything like that. And I feel like this was the perfect one to be like, well, yeah, he's back. Like, what does it matter? That's the plot point, is that he's back. So it's almost like a nice nod of, like, you know what? Let's remember not to take it too seriously. And I really, especially because it was the B plot. That's
entirely an episode of Voyager that they missed out on. Like, something like a mission that happens, Neelix tells one version, but Tuvok tells his, and it's absolutely not the same thing. It's not the same episode at all.
Do you think they
isn't that
plan to
Tuvix?
bring?
No, I'm just kidding.
Do you think they plan to bring him back in season 1, or do you think the response to his character was like it's kind of like with Hugh Culber in season 1 of Discovery, like, oh, why did you kill him? And then we're like, oh shit, well, let's bring him back somehow. And then,
I'm gonna give Mike McMahon a lot of faith. I think that everything he does is planned, but then maybe I'm just too fanboyish.
That might be a little. I mean, I think he does plan, but I bet there's room for improv. You know, like I bet there's room for like let's change course or whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it does seem like a very like well thought out show. So yeah, I would agree that I could see why you'd think that. PE says, I love this episode. It could very well be my favorite of the whole series so far. And Braxton is sharing something similar, which is this episode was really good. Certainly my favorite season. I thought of Mariner saying girls trip a few times today and laughed. Yes, this is that was like really, really funny. PE also says, I would love it if Cisco is somehow involved with Shaxs returning to life, but if they just tease the fact that fact and don't go into any of the details, keeping the audience forever curious and in the dark would be fine as well. So that's cool. Yeah, so Shaxs is back, baby. I'm very curious what they're gonna do the rest of the season. So
is he like a villainous Shaxs, like an undercover villain kind of clone
I don't
or
think
something?
so.
Or you think they're gonna play it straight? It's just Shaxs. He's back.
It's just Shaxs.
I think it's just Shaxs. It seems odd, like the way they played in the episode. It's very ominous and like almost like a Twilight Zone kind of vibe. And you expect something nefarious to be like underneath, and like he might like be a shapeshifter or something and has everybody fooled. But like it is just the joke of a bridge crew member who apparently died just back and walking around and doing his thing, and everybody around just kind of accepting it. But it's the funny part is that Rutherford's like us, the audience member, like, wait, how the fuck? Wait,
yeah, we don't accept it.
Explain to me how this happened, and then, yeah.
We need Shaxs Keithshan scenes now.
Yeah.
Like, we need them together.
Yes.
I wonder how that's gonna
They
go.
got different opinions on how to run their missions because Keithshan seems more peaceful, right?
Yeah, like he's definitely not as trigger happy as Shaxs, I would say, but he could.
Or maybe he has a breaking point and he snaps at some point, and that's even too much for Shaxs. Like Shaxs is like, what the hell?
The Children of Tomorrow
That would be good.
The Children of Tomorrow are definitely warriors, I guess. They have a warrior like style to them, so I'm sure he can kick ass. Yeah, like with that. Well, yeah, he's got like not even ceremonial blade. It's his weapon on his like sash thing. So yeah, it'll be interesting.
You know what would be great is if we get Keithshan ends up sacrificing himself, and his last line is Shaxs on the Packlet ship, and then that's how he goes. I feel like that would be very. Yeah.
That becomes one of the most important like sayings or expressions in their language. Shaxs on the Packlet ship.
I love
it. It becomes like self-sacrifice for a greater cause.
I love
it.
Let's talk about the girl trip next. So what did you guys think of all that stuff?
I've been waiting for like an explanation or like just a deeper dive into Tindy for like ages, for at least all of season 1, and what they gave us was so perfect. It was everything I wanted. Like, we speculated that her family was probably some like violent, savage like pirates or something, and that's kind of it, but it turns out she's the worst apparently. Or something. She left that life.
The best. Yeah,
or the best. Yeah. What was her name? What was her like previous name?
Oh, I didn't write it down. I usually take notes. I didn't have time to take notes.
Her first name, yeah.
Well, not her. Yeah, no, well, yeah.
Divana
like,
is her first name. But
mistress
she had, like,
of what was
mistress of something like. Oh, maybe someone in the chat knows, but it was like mistress of something.
Like she's terrifying. So she has pheromones. She kind of used them this time around, I think, at some point. Because
mistress of the Winter Constellation.
The Winter Constellation. Sounds so Game of Thronesy. Yeah, at one point I feel like she does use her pheromones, or they're like automatically activated. Because one of the male Orions goes yes. And then he goes, no. But I don't know. And I love the fact that she goes, like, I'm not that kind of Orion. So it got me thinking for a minute. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Is there, like, different, like, ethnicities? And some of them have these powers, some of them don't. But then I think it's just, like, I'm not that kind of Orion. Like, her attitude, I think she's
won't do it.
It's just
mentality.
I think she just, like, moved away from, like...
That life.
Yeah. Like, what's funny about it, though, is that, like, she's like... like in last season, she said something like, "Orions have changed. Like many of us have moved away from that kind of like
It's like a
you know,
scumbag
whatever,
planet.
or whatever." She says like 5 years ago, or it was like
Yeah.
something like very recent. So it's cool. So
I think
it's
it was
like,
months, wasn't it? I don't
or
know.
5 months ago. Yeah, it was like
It
super
was
super
nothing,
recent.
yeah.
And she does something else in this episode where she's like, "I would never resort to tactics like that." And then, like in the same breath, she's like, "But we can go see my cousin, who's like like a pirate and like like part
Who
of the
looks like Stephen Lang, by the way.
Oh, cool,
Yeah.
yeah. No, he was. I thought he was also. I agreed with Mariner. He was pretty. He was pretty.
Pretty boss.
Pretty.
There's
bad.
a
He was like-
there's a joke about blackface kind of in it where she's like, "Don't take pictures of me." Or she's like,
Oh,
she
yeah.
feels guilty about turning her skin green.
Yeah,
Oh,
black
was
and
that
brown
what it
face
was?
as your Canadian Prime Minister.
Oh, yeah. I wasn't here when he was elected the first time, the second time, but I wasn't allowed to vote.
I don't
my
know
fault.
him. I don't know the guy. I don't.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand that was a joke on blackface. That was a.
But why didn't they team up Beckett Mariner and the Mistress of the Winter Constellations before? Because like they're a good team, and I like how they point out that they have not been on their own little mission because like Mariner doesn't even know her first name. They basically don't know anything about each other, and for I guess a year they've been acting like they're kind of besties or whatever, but they really aren't. It's just been like her and Boimler and Rutherford and Tindy, and that was getting repetitive. And like the first episode of the season, the whole thing with Rutherford and Tindy again.
Well, you didn't like that.
Tindy's all the way to 11, and Rutherford's like scared shitless of her. But this, like, I don't know, two of them together, they're both. I wouldn't want to say less irritating, but you don't get that repetitive kind of like, oh, these two are arguing again, or this banter between the two. And I like when Mariner is separated from Boimler because, for one, she's not crapping all over him all the time, but we get to see what what she's like around other crew members. And I think later in the season, I don't want to get into spoilers, but I hope we get like a Boimler fucking Rutherford adventure and see how those two interact, because I'm not sure if they had a lot of time together by themselves. And anytime they've all been together, it's been cool, but it changed it up a bit. I like last season when Rutherford went with Shaxs and Billups, was it? On that crazy mission.
Mm-hmm.
Like, split them up. Don't be afraid to pair different characters together, but don't do a repeat of the first season. I do not want to see another scene where Mariner and her mother are like, it's like, no, we've done that 3-4 times now.
That's getting a bit old.
Change it up. It up. You've got plenty of characters to work with now. We know the characters. And this is why I think this is the best of the second season, because it feels the most fresh. It doesn't feel like an extension or a carryover from season 1.
And I also like that they even kind of are mentioning how, in Keithshan, His Eyes Open, they even mentioned like, well, we were just following you because you two were in charge. Like, we didn't even question it.
Right.
Tindy and Rutherford are just so like, they'll just bebop along with whoever's going on. And now we got to see, I think Tindy's one of the most, one of the best new characters. She's just so much fun and upbeat, but like just takes everything to like her own extreme and can justify it. And she's like, well, no, I'm doing this for the right cause. Like, of course I'm going to do this. And so it was really interesting to see her and Mariner, who always does what she wants to do, kind of realize like, oh, this is the other extreme that I don't usually go to, and that I have to remember, I do take charge a lot for a reason.
Yeah, totally.
So I would love to see the dynamics with more people like that too. And I have to say, I am always a fan of the whole cliche plot of this small character all of a sudden you find out has this like royal ancestry that they can just walk in and open all the doors that need to be opened as a plot point. And they're like, no, don't, I don't want the spotlight, but I'm clearly Orion royalty, with the big shoulder pads and, a giant title and everything. So I thought that was really well done. I loved it. I thought it was great.
What's interesting is I don't like that usually. Like I'm not a big fan of that, but for some reason it really worked for Tindy. Maybe I'm just too in love with Tindy. I think she's probably my favorite character of the four. But I don't know. It worked really well for me.
What did you guys think of the not free cloud scenes? I don't remember the name of the planet.
I could do without this kind of like altered carbon aesthetic that they're trying to push into Star Trek.
Wow. You're calling it an altered carbon? I guess I could see
it's like a cyberpunk kind of vibe.
It.
I'm not too fond of it.
It's also like that whole
it's a Klingon. It's not cyberpunk. It's Klingon acid punk. Just FYI, by the way.
Sorry.
That's
not cyber.
All right. Well, I don't need the Klingon acid punk aesthetic. No, I'm not like I don't care. I won't complain about it as such. It's just like I didn't really need it in Picard, especially considering like Picard had just like shit ass VFX thrown on a cityscape, like a photo that they took in Toronto.
You had to just take a.
They used like Comic Sans, I think, to write Quark's Bar. It's like, guys, wake the fuck up. Anyway, but this wasn't as bad.
I'll be tweeting at you later with a comparison of Comic Sans and Quark's Bar. No, but Quark's Bar
we also
was
saw Quark.
Yeah, there was a Quark's here, so it's a franchise, obviously. So like he's on all these like pleasure planets.
Well, his signage has changed.
His signage changed.
He's updating his branding.
Fair enough.
I think I gleaned like Zebulon, and didn't they mention the Zebulon sisters?
And there was also, in that same frame with Quark's, on the right-hand side, there was Vic Fontaine.
Oh, wow.
So he also had, I believe, somebody correct me if I'm wrong.
It was. There was,
Yeah. I thought that was really
Vic
interesting.
Fontaine like a sentient hologram living his life like the Doctor?
For sure, he has to be.
I think he is, yeah.
Is he not banned? No, holograms are not banned.
Not if they're compliant, I guess.
Dear God,
if they can be shut off. Yeah,
there's a big Pandora's box in that, as far as civil liberties and things like that. Sit there and be quiet, or we'll deactivate you.
The Federation's not the same as it used to be. It's a little.
They're kind of vague on those things. Yeah,
it's true.
Mariner has things to say about that.
You could almost say that the Federation has more sheer fucking hubris than they used to.
Well said.
There's my one. I can use one.
PE said very good. I think you could do one or two at PG-13 at this hour. We're at like at 8 o'clock. PE says, I wonder if Tindy trying to distance herself from mainstream Orion culture has anything to do with her desperately seeking the approval of her Starfleet coworkers. I think there's some of that there for sure. Yeah.
They could actually dive into some interesting stories about like being ashamed of who she comes from and that kind of stuff. Like if it's shame that she feels, or like I suppose there's a conflict or a story to be told about that conflict, about simultaneously being proud of your heritage but also sometimes being quite ashamed of what people have done. I guess there's a story in that they could explore at some point.
I think that would be a great thing to explore, especially with everything. Star Trek's supposed to be topical, and I think having Tindy realize and acknowledge, her ancestry and, how the way her people have been, and wanting to distance herself and prove that, like, it's not everyone's like that. I think that could be a really good thing, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I like that. So their whole mission, which I forgot to mention, was to go get this thing that's like a family heirloom for Tindy. Yeah, what's up, PJ?
What are they just allowed to run secret missions? Like that seems so weird. It's like, go do this secret mission, and like personnel are leaving the ship. I don't know. I feel like Tanya put in like a personal request with Freeman that we didn't see. She's like, I need an ensign to go and get something, and Freeman was like, yeah, okay, well, we're gonna put like a command operations officer. So by secret, she probably meant discreet.
A discreet.
Yeah, like she didn't want Tindy to blab about it.
Because you know that if Tuvok needed something like that, he would have told Janeway, and Janeway would have been like, Kim and this other person, go get this, go get coffee from that nebula. Like they would have done it discreetly.
Go get coffee from that nebula.
The box.
Freeman probably knew, Tanya was going through this too.
Yeah, the bridge crew probably know. Like, that Ransom's like, I'm not going to sickbay right now, because, Shaxs should have been down there, actually. Did Tanya not know Shaxs is back? What's going on?
Yeah, like,
why wasn't she all over him?
she
Tanya brought him back. That's probably what it was.
Oh my god, it was...
She needed something. Quick fix. Just like, death, not a problem.
The joke pays off well with the Dr. Tana in the box because it's so stupid. And they went through all that trouble, like basically almost died, and
that was their fault, though.
I know, but like they went through all of this just for her to be like, I don't give a shit about what's in the box. I just wanted the box, and the way they animate her, going in and out of the box, it's just like what a cat does, and it's one of these things that if they had a Keithshan in a live action show do that exact thing, I would probably fucking hate the show. But the fact that it's lower decks and it's absurd and you're supposed to embrace the absurdity, I guess, it really does work.
As a cat
it was one of the funnier jokes in the entire show.
And as a cat person, it's like 100% like legit
it's
because
accurate.
They don't care what's in the box; they just want the box. Like,
just like poking their head out and they're like,
and yeah,
their
like
eyes get right big, and
the animation was like exact. It was beautiful. You touch on something, Pete. Like I've written this in my review that was supposed to already be out, but that's not out for like last episode. You say lower decks, like this works for lower decks specifically, but it wouldn't really work in a live action show. No, and this is a compliment. This is a compliment that I had for like the last episode, where I feel like lower decks, and this is something that I look for in all Star Trek shows. I want everything to happen to make sense in like the greater universe. Like I want everything to make sense within the context of the greater universe, but simultaneously, I also want every show to be so unique that they can do things that only they can pull off. And Lower Decks is very good at that. Because, like, the Keithshan joke, it makes sense. Like, we can all imagine, all Keithshans do this. But, like you say, this works specifically because Lower Decks are doing it. Like, you can do this in the motion picture.
They really play up the she's a cat. Keithshans aren't cats. Like, that's the thing.
No.
but they're just saying like, we're just doing the cat thing. We're just saying that she's a cat and everything that a cat does, this doctor will do. And it's kind of like what Discovery did with Tellarites. They kind of looked at Tellarites and said, oh, those are pig people. And they just made them full-on pig people. But at least Lower Decks honors the original kind of design of it, right? But I don't mind that they're doing that with Keithshans and Lower Decks.
The Keithshans
I don't think they should
already.
make that a thing, though, but, you know.
They purred already in the animated series.
They did? I didn't realize.
Oh, in the animated,
funny.
she's always like...
She's like, Captain, because she wouldn't say like starboard, she'll say
she always
like,
sounded
sexually
sexually suggestive, even though
she always did,
like,
yeah.
By the way, who played her? Was that Nichelle Nichols or was it
Nichelle Nichols?
Or was it
Nichelle Nichols?
Oh, cool. That's fun.
James Doohan did all the voices in that show.
Hold on, I gotta look this up.
She kind of has a purry voice in Star Trek V.
Did they change Shaxs' voice actor or not?
I
have a question about that.
What was that, Toddy?
Did they change Shaxs' voice actor or not? I feel like they didn't.
It's he's still credited.
Okay, so Gary's just insane.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny on Trek Central. Someone pointed out in the chat that he's been credited since like the whole season. I didn't even notice. So he might be doing other voices.
He does
too.
other voices too. Right? Yeah. I don't know specifically which ones. He does like ancillary kind of characters.
Stress Free K says cats love boxes. Her big dilated eyes are brilliant, and also Mariner seems to connect with the cool kids of the more problematic races because her Ferengi friend was kind of bohemian as well. Oh yeah, that's right. Good call out on that. That's true. I love Mariner. She's a cool character. But the team up was like long overdue, and I love that the show like called attention to it. Also, I guess we finally got like a hint of. I hope we get more of it this season. But Mariner admitted to her fluid sexual preference. Mm-hmm. Like she's kind of like into anyone, which is great. So she kind of talked about.
We already knew that, dude.
Yeah, that was pretty clear from the get-go. I feel like.
But it's always good to hear for visibility.
Fair enough.
Yeah, and Mike McMahon said he agreed with some of the criticisms last season that some folks were giving, that there wasn't really like any kind of like mention.
I feel like Ransom is just as fluid though.
I don't agree that you need a character to say I'm this. This is my identity. Look at but it's okay. Like how she said it, like it's just very casually. But
well, there were ways of putting it in the dialogue. I guess there's ways of writing it.
You don't even need it. You can just like have them just one day she's dating a woman. Like that captain. Remember the captain from last season that she used to work under?
Yes.
People were saying like their friendship was like a little, they seemed a little cozy. And people are like, no, you're just people just read every time. You're just trying to make people read people that think people are all pan or like, but I think Beckett Mariner, I think they were trying to like show us subtly, at least in the first season, that like just by her nature, she seems like someone who swings both ways. Like I don't know if that's a harsh thing to say, but
I think
they kind of play around with it, but they don't say it. You know what I mean?
Because Star Trek has never really like intentionally addressed it before this new iteration of Star Trek, people just kind of said, and I'm one of these people, I'm like, future people are just probably fluid by default. Like they're not, they're not like, yeah, they're like more open. Like they're just not like, they don't like, they're not like ones to fully identify. But that being said, now that like we know now that there's a myriad of reasons why it was never addressed in Star Trek before, including like the
thanks Rick Berman.
Yeah, like including Rick Berman,
why why they couldn't go that route, especially in the 60s, but in the 80s because you would literally be killing your show because there were so many states that would ban anything that had a hint of gayness in it. They're like, what was it? Roseanne went through that with the lesbian kiss in that one, and Ellen went through a whole thing when they went that route. And it's like back in the 90s, people were out to punish and like ban and boycott your shit because of gay characters and stuff. Now it's like
they're still out today, but just because you got like the color wrong on
it doesn't matter today. Like they're gay characters in every single thing.
People hate details
because they're so prevalent in our real lives, and people aren't like as afraid to talk about it or come out or whatever.
Well, let's also
seems very naturally incorporated, right?
And now, also, a lot of people are more okay, and a lot of corporations and companies are a lot more okay with showing gay characters because it's profitable. They realize that, gay people aren't going anywhere, and now they want to buy products. And I think that it obviously works, and it's nice that, as a gay man, it's nice to be able to see and say, oh, right, I'm still around in, the 24th, 25th century. But I do agree that I think in Star Trek, my mentality's always been, they don't even see, they're more concerned about who you are as a person rather than, your gender or identity. Right. But I will always say that, Jonathan Frakes has been pushing for a long time, to have a gay character. And he even said, back in the TNG episode where he fell in love with the, non-gendered
wanted a man
species.
Like that he wanted to cast a man,
Yeah, that he thought that would be driving the point home. So it's nice to see that, things like that are finally, we can start let things like that breathe more.
And it's crazy how much fear existed back then. Like, if a writer had an idea like gay character or like with Frakes, why not cast a man in the role? And he knew he would have to. That's the thing. It was the physical contact. It was the kissing. And you know what was funny about back in the day? A lot of dudes to women. Oh, it's okay. It's hot. It's sexy. To men. Nice. Oh, I'm gonna throw up. It's like fuck you. It's like you can't pick and choose your homophobia. You know what I mean? Like,
nice.
But anyway, I'm glad that we're past all that stuff because I remember there was so much drama in the 90s about that stuff. It was so stupid.
I do think like I agree with both of you in the sense that contextually speaking, one's perspective in the future or in Star Trek's future would be completely different because like genders and species are infinite, and like there are probably aliens out there that don't even have the equivalent of a male, female, or anything in between gender. Like they've just got something else, and so you can even
the
interpret
Andorians
it, right?
have two.
Have four.
They have four genders. Are they like even relatable to ours in any way? So
right.
I guess it makes sense that there's more fluidity in that context. And I do also agree that sometimes, like, the way that it's done is a bit... Like, I didn't like the Georgiou Pan comments that she did in, like, the Discovery Season 2. I think that was a bit ham-fisted. It was a bit weird.
Well, yeah, they sabotaged it by her being cringy and saying "Poppy."
Yeah, but I also
like
do
really
agree
weird.
that we're in a point, I think, in media where, like, we always have to... I think we kind of sometimes always have to go from one extreme to the other before finally balancing out. So we've had none of it. So now we're having, like, everyone's, taking the time to point out what gender, etc., and, or, like, what sexual orientation. And then there will be a time in, like, 20 years from now when we're still doing these conversations. No one will point anything out in Star Trek, right?
Well, art mirrors society, and sometimes art, gets society to change. So, yeah, I totally agree with that. But I don't think it's going to be 20 years, sadly. It's going to be many years before. Like, the imbalance has been going on for hundreds of years. So, like, I don't know how long it's going to take
we fix them quicker than they last.
Yeah, well, Star Trek does.
No?
Star Trek does. And certainly
Star Trek pushes for it, I guess.
It's true.
Yeah, 25.
A quick correction: it was in fact Majel Barrett who did the voice for the Keithshan character.
Okay, I was looking that up
series.
while you guys were talking, and I just saw Nichelle Nichols as Uhura, and I couldn't find. And it says Majel Barrett as Nurse Chapel, but there's no listing for the Keithshan. I was like still in the dark about it.
Yeah, and Scotty,
yeah.
James Doohan did what's his name?
Arix.
Thank you. Yeah.
Parenthesis says, I might end up watching that series just to see what the character's like. You're not going to see very much, let's be honest. Like,
wait, say that
but,
again? What?
But you should watch.
Okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you should watch the animated series.
Yeah.
I legitimately think it's like top 3 Star Trek shows, but...
Shout out to Aaron Harvey and Rich Shepis, who wrote the Bible about Star Trek the Animated Series, which I'm starting to read. It's really enjoyable. The artwork in it is gorgeous. The book
And
is
the
very
shuttles are
pretty
bigger than the
too.
ships.
And the shuttles are bigger than the ships. Very, very cool. Okay,
the Spocks are bigger than the Spocks.
Any other thoughts on Tindy and Mariner before we move on to the Boimler Paris?
I think it's a common trope because I've seen, like, having watched a lot of sitcoms, I feel like there's always an episode in, like, season 7 or 8 of a sitcom where they pair up 2 characters that have never been in a scene alone together. And then they're like, oh, this is awkward. I specifically remember, like, a How I Met Your Mother scene, I think with this, like, Marshall and Robin having, like, they're not on a date, but they're just having dinner, and it's awkward and weird. And so I feel like that's a common trope that happens in sitcoms, and so this was kind of maybe a play on that.
What would be like a Star Trek example? Like, is that like when I guess like when maybe Dr. Crusher and Worf pairing up or something like that?
Maybe like a Tuvok and Chakotay. Does that happen often? I feel like
they do make a couple mentions about how there's the one episode where Janeway's about to sacrifice herself to close the wormhole that Chakotay goes to Tuvok and says, I know we aren't great friends, but I respect you and I don't know what to do in this. So they kind of allude to the fact that they don't really. There's that kind of distrust.
Hoshi and Reed maybe. That never really happened. Like, I guess like every show probably has like characters that.
Spot and Worf.
Spot and Wolf specifically.
I will feed him.
We are not the best of friends, but I respect you.
They did end up living together at the end, so he did end up adopting Spot after Data's death.
Aw, I didn't know that.
It was a deleted scene. Fun story. Fun facts with Matt.
Wow.
Was that is that on the Nemesis like Blu-ray or something? I gotta go watch. Oh, that's
Jordi and Worf are going through Data's Data's quarters, and you see all these little things that they're packing into boxes, and Spot jumps up and Worf says that he'll adopt Spot.
God damn, Worf can't even take care of his son, he takes someone else's cat.
Then he eats it a week later.
Dang.
Good cat.
Good cat. Nice gift.
Quarters. Good cat.
God damn.
Dang. He will live on in Stovacor.
Yeah, because he eats them live, right?
Oh no.
Well, I
Like
mean,
a
he's
like a
Klingon.
live Kolar beast.
All right, I'm putting a kibosh on this topic just because my poor cat. I'm thinking of my poor cat. Tuvok and Chakotay served together on in the Maquis before
Oh,
the
that
series
there was
started.
probably a cold, like
Tuvok
when
was,
Chakotay
That's what- yeah.
realized that. Yeah, it's like
That's why they never really wanted to get along, because obviously
'Cause there was
Tuvok
like a-
betrayed him. He was
Yeah.
literally a planted spy on his ship. So
and so
I
did
think
Siska. Like everyone was fake on his ship. Chakotay was running a.
It's like, I let you massage me.
yeah. I think Chakotay says that at one point. He's like, "Was there no one on my ship like that actually wanted to be there? Was everyone a spy?" Like,
I was just here for the massages.
Poor
Up- yeah.
Chakotay. Poor Chakotay was
Alana
cuckolded.
just ended up there and was like, "Guess I'm an engineer now."
That's pretty funny. What did you guys think of Boimler's first trip back on the Cerritos? And I didn't know what Papusa was until this episode. I just discovered Papusa and enter Jill. Hello, Jill, who loves to cook. So now I want to I want to try out Papusa. I got to find a Salvadoran restaurant that serves it. So have you guys ever had Papusa?
Every day.
The Canadian way, there's maple syrup in it.
That's true.
Yeah,
think
it's maple syrup, French fries, and cheese and gravy.
Oh,
Oh.
yeah.
Just, I think that's pronounced poutine, but
Yeah.
Papusa poutine. How do we say it?
Oh, you got
poutine.
your French accent came out a little bit.
I,
just so you know, Truck on the Tube has like 17 different accents that he legitimately
alternate,
Yeah,
yeah,
he
between-
legitimately has them because he's lived in like 20 million places. So he has.
Do your Chicago accent.
No, I've never lived in Chicago. Sadly.
You'll be there for like a couple of
I
days
will be
soon
there.
enough.
I will
So
be
yeah,
there.
you
I
might
still,
be able
I
to
still
pick
haven't
up
booked
on
a
it, so.
hotel. Please
You
don't
should
book your
go down
hotels,
there and
people.
try to talk like this to see if anybody knows you're from like not out of town.
Well,
I'm as Chicago as you, man. Let's get some deep dish pizza.
I have to
The
watch
Bears.
I have to watch 3 seasons of Fargo just before I go there, so that I can nail that Minnesota accent.
You could go around saying the baby beer.
I wanted to talk about Tom Paris because I feel like it speaks a lot to
Wasted
the quality.
opportunity. Yeah.
It kind of is, but then it speaks a lot to the quality of the episode that like we don't resort to just talking about the appearance of the legacy character. It's like it was really fun to have him as solution,
And he was-
a hallucination on the
He
plate.
was like a distraction from Shaxs too, because that totally surprised me. Like I didn't see Shaxs coming, so
It's
like
get
I was
lost
all
on Paris.
obsessed about Tom Paris, like with the trailer and with the teasers and everything, and then I never even thought like Shaxs would come back. So I thought that was a good move.
90% of Tom Paris is in the teaser, or like what is in the episode. The only
Yeah.
part you don't see is the end when he beats up Boimler.
Well, I didn't watch
Hey,
the
Lon.
teaser, but I knew that Tom Paris was coming back. And for the whole time that I didn't see the episode, I was complaining. I was like, why the hell did they even call the episode Tom Paris? Why did they show him in the promotional pictures? Why are they spoiling the fact that he's back? And I really do think it was all just a cover operation for Shaxs, right?
I know why they
Like-
chose the title, though. I mean, because
Yeah,
it will
okay.
always have Paris.
always-
Yeah. Fair enough.
Wasn't
It's
that
not
the
the
name
fun.
of a TNG episode?
Yeah,
Mhm.
where he was that
And so
the-
this is it was season 2.
One of
I
his
believe.
old love
one or
flings.
2.
on the
yeah
holodeck and everything. Yeah.
yeah
think
it was the
season one.
Mannheim
It was
episode.
season 1.
It was the Mannheim episode where.
Is it the one where he goes to Paris on the holodeck with
Yeah.
the
Yeah, and
most
yeah.
accurately depicted French people ever?
Right.
Everybody has a baguette sticking out of their fucking head.
They're all wearing a beret. That's just,
Where every French
They're all
person gets
smoking
mad.
and not wearing deodorant.
you have no idea what you're talking about. I do not care.
The girl goes, "You know Paris?" And he says yes, and she goes, "Oh well, ultimately every French person feels like they're from Paris, and every French person watching is like, fuck you, we hate Paris and we hate people that are from there.
That's
We
a
hate that
ooh.
French stereotype.
That is a fucking lie." Sacre bleu, as they say in the United States.
Jill says, "I just finished the episode, so Keithshan is still in the crew. We think so. He's totally still."
I
gonna
didn't
be a
even
part of the
notice him
crew."
this time around.
No, I
but-
did.
I'll
did
be
notice
honest.
him.
I didn't. Was he still a puppet, or was he back to normal?
No, he was back to normal.
he was back to normal in the
back to
last
normal
one.
in the last episode, which I didn't notice the first time around either. So Keithshan's kind of like
It's a good thing he wasn't a puppet when Tanya went crazy, because she would have ripped him to shreds.
That's true. That would not have been fun. And Jill also saying the worst part Majel ever played was the Keithshan. Just awful. Well, PE's asking, I wonder if Paramount is selling the Tom Paris plates now because of the episode. It was like totally before the episode too, like the
Oh, yeah.
viewers,
Now?
yeah,
Yeah.
It was when
Isn't
they
it-
announced the episode. Yeah.
yeah.
Who's ordered theirs?
I haven't.
I know-
I don't.
I
don't-
ordered mine.
And when is it? When is it coming?
Not till December. It'll be here.
Oh
damn.
shit! Oh
Yeah.
damn!
Oh no!
I
I was
They
hoping
weren't
you would
expecting.
hold it up during one of the reviews.
I know.
But, yeah.
They
I
weren't
know, I
expecting the sheer amount of orders for plates. They didn't think it would catch on that big.
They only had a prototype, and Mike McMahon shared it, I think, and that's what like that. I think a whole company was born just from that plate. Like someone sent him that prototype, and then after that, shortly later, Star Trek Limited.
Tom
appeared,
Paris
and, like,
Plates Limited.
Yeah, it was like crazy. Yeah, it's a crazy thing but I hope now that there's this company doing this. Like, I hope we get like a Lower Decks puppet. Like I would, and finally the Jordi teddy bear. I hope like things like that.
They should just do meme
you know-
plates, like not real serious plates, just like ridiculous stupid plates.
Lower Decks may be the first of modern Trek shows that actually create merchandise that people want to buy.
That and Prodigy, I think, honestly.
And Prodigy might be
Well,
the one
yeah,
that
for kids,
actually
yeah.
that actually does it. I honestly have no problem with my favorite character coming back, even in the live action Trek dramas. That said, Tuvix would not make the cut. Yeah, Tuvix
No.
is an abomination.
Well, that's not
We
a
don't
favorite
acknowledge him on
character.
this show. I thought of
They should do a Family Guy cutaway where they're like, remember the time Tuvix came back to life, and you just show like somebody shoot him with a shotgun or something. I don't know.
It should be Leonardo da Vinci too.
It's
No,
the-
that would be too. That would be too Family Guy. That
It's
would
the
be too harsh.
Deadpool. It's the Deadpool scene where he kills himself, except this time he's just killing Tuvix.
Oh my goodness. I thought of you when Boimler was talking about Voy, because Toddy's obsessed with abbreviating or shortening show names.
It's very
and
useful for tweets because
Yeah,
the
it is
original
useful for
series
tweets.
takes up like a tweet.
But I wanted
Isn't
it to be
Isn't
VGR.
that something all fans do? Isn't that like we all decide like a shorter version? Like
Yeah. I wanted it to be VGR, and he's like, "Nah, it's Voy." And like,
Voy.
like
Officially, it is VGR. It's troubling.
oh, is
That's
it?
I've always
Stupid.
thought it was Boy.
I thought it
I've
was
always
Voy
heard
too.
Voy.
That's
Yeah.
that's Toddy. I knew it was VGR.
No,
yes.
no. Okay, so the long story, I guess, is that it officially is VGR, and it always has been because that's what they use on the production of the show. But Memory Alpha said, "No, fuck this. We're going to use Voy, like VOY."
Yeah.
And then
That's
so
what-
that
yeah.
became the more common one. And so even like I have a recent tweet where I was interacting with what's he called? Oh no, I forgot his name. Man in charge of marketing.
John Van Siders.
That's it. I was talking to him.
John Van Sitters. Right?
Sitters,
Yeah.
thank
He
you,
officially
Sitters.
said, he replied to me, said it's officially VGR, that's what we use. But now this show has canonized in universe that someone says Voy, and I'm like, ah, I hate this.
I love
Because
this show.
VGR is too close to VJ, right? Like,
Remember when
Yeah.
they did the TOS thing too? Those old.
Those
yeah,
old
those
scientists.
old scientists, which I adore.
Have they done
Cool.
TNG? Like, what would TNG be?
I said
they
it's
couldn't
the
say
new
Next
guys.
Generation. The new guy.
The
Oh,
new
yeah.
guys. That was my thing, and I think Mike McMahon liked it, so that might that might be a thing. So who knows?
well, LDS was kind of a community. I like to pride myself as part of the people that decided it's LDS.
You were the first
probably.
person I saw that like kind of.
You created it, Sean, and no one else. No one
Yeah,
else
but
thought
you were
of
the
it
first
before
person
you.
I saw in my sphere that did.
I think it was
LDS,
a
but
meme
yeah.
that like a lot of people collectively came up with, like, oh, LDS is fun because it's also a pun on like Star Trek 4, and I think they just kind of ran with it, like they thought it was really good. Though Mike
And it
McMahon
works.
was
LDS lower decks.
yeah, so
Like it
yeah.
works perfectly.
But that was a community, that was a crowd-funded abbreviation, I guess.
I thought it would have been funnier if it was LWD, but whatever.
No,
Well, that's two lower dicks.
No.
Like,
no.
Wait,
I'm going with LDS on this one.
yeah, no, LDS is really no. I take it back.
I thought the Boimler stuff was the least. None of that worked comedically for
well-
me. It was just like, really, you can't get food. Like, it was a little it was a little overplayed, and the fact that Tom Paris is just arriving there, he's got security clearance. It takes a voice command, a couple of punches, and they can't. It's one of these things that I get a little tired of, where they just shit on Boimler so much.
It does
like,
get old.
I don't
Yeah.
mind it. I
Yeah.
don't mind it every now and again, and like he is the bumbling, Mr. Bean of the ship, I guess.
But PJ, it's his fault because all he had to do was go report to Billups and get it fixed, and he refused to. He kept saying no. Like that's the thing that I thought was funny about it. It was,
yeah,
like, very,
I
like,
get that. Yeah,
it was very like his fault. Like he could have
it's
just
just
easily fixed it. It's like
it's like his. I like the fact that there's a celebrity on the bridge. It's like I can relate to, like, there's somebody big close to you, and they're right around the corner, and you want to get to them to sign your thing, and you just know in the back of your head, like, something's gonna happen to fuck this up, and I'm not gonna make it. And it's like that kind of thing I kind of related to, but I mean, it's still not a bad part of the episode. It's just it wasn't as
Well,
good
they
as
pushed
the
it to a
the
certain
other.
extreme. They pulled a Nicholas Meyer, where like they threw out some of the like coherence of Star Trek just to make their point. Like,
Yeah, that's what I felt like. It was.
They forced the
Come on, like,
comedy
they-
a little bit more than it needed to. Yeah.
There was a joke that did kind of pay off in the end when he runs into the wall with the panel.
That was.
She's like, that's
that
not
was
a door,
comedic
that's just a
gold.
wall with a... Yeah, that was good. That was good.
I love
that's a wall
and
with a seam in it.
and he's like, I have a concussion.
Why?
I feel like there was also a little bit of that nod to how often they would switch the back of the sets. That they would like keep swapping out. Like one would be a wall panel, and then all of a sudden it would be a fake door, and then all of a sudden it would be like
Actually-
you peel off one thing and put another thing on.
Funny thing is, Yerk, one of our friends on Twitter, recently tweeted like a bunch of pictures of like the Tin Ford or like the bar in lower decks, and how the door is always changing in like the distance between the table where Rutherford sits and what is it, like the bar changes all the time. Like I don't know if they're doing this on purpose or not. Like I still don't know if they did the Shaxs thing on purpose with the pips changing last season. I feel like
they had like
They
or
explained that,
realized
remember?
that-
They explained the
with the
pips
corn.
changing. But yeah,
I feel like-
that doesn't completely work, but yeah.
But it
I
could
feel
be a
like it was
mistake
put
from
in
the
there.
animators over at Titmouse, though, because like they're writing the show in LA, but someone's animating it like where's it, Vancouver? Someone could have like messed up all their scenes.
There
I
were
don't know.
numerous animation mistakes in season 1.
Well, there was
and
like missing a chair, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah. There were flubs.
I've been looking
sure.
for them in this last 3 episodes, and man, the animation's quite good. In the first episode, especially, like, there's a smoothness and a kind of like bounciness to it now.
Yeah, they have more expressions, and like when
Yeah,
they speak, it like they have more like mouth movements and stuff like that.
And they do this thing when say 3 people are in a scene, 2 people are talking. Like Mariner will not be talking but listening, and she's like you can see her reacting to what people are saying. And I think they're doing this thing with her. You can see it in one of the first episode, with Ransom and her mother, and her in the ready room, but you don't know Ransom's there right away. And then Ransom starts talking. She's kind of like giving him this smug look, and you know she's thinking awful thoughts about him. And I think that's really good animation to have like characters who aren't talking, like react and give like these really
Still
subtle
engaged,
expressions.
yeah.
Well, that's Mike McMahon trying to really, I suppose, make the show as if it were live action. Like he's placing a camera, filming actors, having both sides of the performance, I guess.
You get so often, especially back in the day, you would get, just because cell animation was much harder to keep track of in terms of background characters and what they were doing. But usually people were just like still, didn't even blink, didn't do much at all. But now in animation you have like everybody's doing something, like nobody's just
they're all
standing
hitting
there
the
like
panels
this. Yeah, it's cool. It's good animation.
Yeah, it is really good.
I think
and
it's
they've
it's
improved
honestly
it a lot.
the highest quality animated show, like TV show, that I've ever seen. Like I couldn't think of
Ever?
But I can't think of an animated show that looks better than this. I'm gonna be honest. Like
in the style, you mean? Because I feel
No,
like
just-
Yes, in the style, yeah.
I feel like
yeah, okay. So in 3D animation, I think there's like better things.
Well, I'm
but
not
in
talking
2D
about-
animation. I
I
don't.
don't. Well,
This is a-
Prodigy.
this
Let's
is
also
specific-
remember, Prodigy is animated.
That's
and
3D.
I think that
I
looks
guess that'll be
that looks
3D
real
animated.
good.
But in terms of 2D animation, this is this is a style of 2D animation that's like kind of like like Solar Opposites and Lower Rick and Morty. Not the exact same thing, but that kind of style.
In that vein.
They don't look as
like
good.
The Simpsons,
Then you get other
yeah,
shows like
Family Guy.
Invincible, or say like the
That
new
looks like
Masters of the
ass.
Universe, or the new Masters of the Universe, which is very well animated in my
It's
opinion.
disgusting.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know. You have weird. I don't know about you, Sean. Your taste in anime, because some things are like look really good, and you're like, oh, that doesn't look good.
No, Sean
If you
straight
see-
up was
do-
like,
would
the
you
CG
agree-
in Picard is crap, and I watch it on
Would-
Blu-ray, and it's beautiful, and I don't
Would you-
understand where you're coming
Sean, would
except
you-
for the copy-paste fleet. But anyway,
Sean,
sorry.
Sean, would you agree that the animation in Masters of the Universe Revelations is better than Invincible, and it's like a step up in terms of like,
Yes.
yeah, okay, that's
That
good
was
animation,
reluctant.
isn't it?
That was
I've
reluctant.
I've only seen the trailers for Masters of the Universe.
trying
but
to
it looks
convince
way
you so
better.
bad.
Invincible looks like garbage. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to shit on the animators. I know that you guys are making a 50-minute show, and that every second of animation costs a lot of money, and you guys have to just be very like kind of effective with the movements that you're making. It's just like sometimes there are anyway.
To go back to Lower Decks, it has
Lower Decks looks
it has
amazing.
layering. It has
Yes.
the 2D never feels flat.
They light the show better than some live action shows have lighting. Like
Yeah, there's like
Yeah, it's
atmospherics.
incredible.
There's a lot of good stuff going on.
It's like I almost want to see like the process of how they layer it, like almost like CG shots where you have like
yeah.
the basic shape, then the colors, and then the texturing, and then the lighting afterwards.
The
They
Blu-ray
do the
didn't have
same
enough
thing.
of that.
They do the same thing with this animation. It's like the flat animation that's moving the way it's moving, but then they have like a layer of like blurriness and depth of field, basically to different degrees. It's not always like
Maybe CBS.
it's not a
will-
one-trick pony kind of thing where they're like, let's always make the background this degree of blurry. There's levels to it. They treat the animated camera, per se, I guess you can call it, as a real camera. Like, so when there's certain light, there's kind of like glare. It's not lens flare necessarily, but
Yeah.
like
I haven't watched the special features on my
light
Lower
diffusion.
Decks.
There's proper light
Blu-ray,
diffusion
but-
based on like what scene
Yeah.
you're in. I can't really explain. I'm not really explaining myself very well, but you know what I mean.
You're doing a good job.
You
I-
saw
I
the
got what
show.
you're saying,
You
yeah.
guys
Just
saw
the
the show.
fact.
You know what I'm talking about.
Just the fact that sometimes they take the time to like animate the scene behind the force field on the brig and sometimes in front of the force field, so sometimes you have the blue and sometimes you don't. Just the fact that they take the time to do that, to me, is like big, because it's like, oh my god, you guys are pretending there's a force field in the scene. But even in a live action show, that's post, because there's no force field. Like, they have to think about, so like you guys are pretending that you're filming the show and then doing the post. I don't know. I think it's
The animation
there's
direction.
a lot of attention to detail.
Wait, the force fields are what? They're post?
No,
Well, they're put
wait.
in post. They don't
he
exist in real
thinks
life.
he's saying it looks like the same.
What?
It,
They don't have,
He's
what?
saying he's saying it looks like the
I've been
same
watching
effect.
Voyager for how many? What?
they're not in TOS, by the way.
All
It's
right, I
just
have
light.
to go.
In the original series, it's just light. It's like and miming. They're mime.
Yeah.
They're doing miming. Like it's,
They're like,
I'm trapped in a glass case of emotion.
that's really good.
And then in
wow.
Discovery, Burnham's like in a full green screen cage in like that first episode or whatever it is, when she's just in the.
You mean when the force fields can chip? For some reason in Discovery, how they can chip through a force field? Fine.
Well, even the ship shields are a bit wonky, because like shields are up at 30%, but the ship's blowing up. It's getting hit and there's fire and everything, but
that was a
Discover-
good gag too, by the way, slamming into
Because
the shield.
it's because the nacelles weren't detached yet. That's the
Oh.
reason that it. Yeah.
But
that
yeah,
helped
the
with-
joke of the shuttle just bouncing off the shield was good. It was fun.
And
By the way,
it was finally
Why
the
were
right
the shields
proportion.
up?
Discovery stole their force field design directly from Thor: The Dark World. If you watch
yeah.
Thor: The Dark World, you're like, oh my god, they have Discovery force fields, but they're a different color, right? They're not.
Yeah, they have
But
that
anyway.
weird.
I
cool
like the
geometric
idea.
pattern
I
going
like
on.
the idea of a force field being completely invisible until you touched it, and then there was like bzzz. I don't like the idea of seeing it now. You know what I mean? They do it in Lower Decks now. They have it kind of like, you can't see it completely, but you can kind of see it as if you would like some kind of weird reflection on glass.
Generations did it well. I would be careful. There's 30,000 gigawatts or whatever he said.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like
I feel
First
like
contact,
you should be able.
first
I feel like you should be able to make your force field go completely opaque if you wanted to. It's like shut up, and then it goes opaque, and you can't see the person or can't
I'm
hear
sure-
the person behind.
yeah,
it,
I'm
right?
sure you
Oh
can do
yes, it
that,
was
yeah.
Generation. Yeah, Soren's force field. I didn't know what you were talking about at first.
I wouldn't want you to get hurt.
I wouldn't want you to get hurt.
Yeah, there we
There
go.
we go. There we go. Yeah.
Question is Giselle Ricks a Trekism? Trek
What?
sim? Trek sim? Trek sim? What's a Trek sim? Did you mean Trekism or a Trek sim?
I was wondering, like, it's
A
based
trick
off
word, I
of.
guess.
I was trying to make it sound, phonetically trill. You have Jadzia Dax, Giselle Ricks.
I like it. I like it.
okay.
But you're currently
Although
you're
I-
Matt. You're
I would have guessed for sure.
Anti.
I would have guessed for sure.
on Twitter, which I like.
I wanted to get a good pun in there, and it's the only thing you can do with Matt. So Matt or anti-Matt or warp drive.
Any other thoughts on this episode before we wrap it up and give our ratings? Oh, by the way, optional, but we give ratings on a scale of 1 to 10 at the very end. Any other thoughts on this episode, guys? Did they?
I love that we finally got to see a shuttle in proportion to a ship. It was a nice actual little. I know I'm a ship focused on it, but we got to see a tiny little shuttle and a big saucer section, and
Boom.
nice.
That was a cool scene. It's true. Nice closing thought. I give this episode a 9.2. It was very good.
damn.
It was an awesome episode. I really enjoyed it. I was laughing all day at the gags, thinking about them, and that's a great thing. And it's giving me in these stressful times, I just think it's fun. Like, I don't watch a lot of other things, so to get a flavor of everything in Star Trek is just awesome. So kudos to these guys. They're doing an amazing job. Who'd like to go next?
I want to give this episode a 7. I know it sounds a bit low, but compared to what I thought about the last, which again, I'm not hating on it. It's just a little underwhelmed, and I think it's finally getting good now. I mean, the best is yet to come. I'm positive that it's going to get to that point like it did in season 1, where it just gets bigger and the more dramatic elements come into play.
I want PJ to guess what I'm gonna give it, because he likes to guess my go.
I'm
Well,
gonna
sir-
guess. Oh, go ahead.
Well, sir, I'm going to say 7.5.
Oh really?
You wrote it
Oh,
down. You wrote
I
it
wrote
down.
it down.
Let's see.
8.5.
8.5.
Oh.
Nice.
I went
Good.
higher than what you thought this time. He always tries to figure out my ratings because they're all over the place. But yeah, no,
How about
I
you, Matt?
really
Oh.
like this one. I liked it more than the previous one actually. So yeah.
Nice. And Matt, what would you like to give a rating?
I would like to say I'm going to give it a solid 8.9 on the Richter scale.
Very nice. Very nice. We got high scores in the audience too today. Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that was a
10. Oh damn.
Yeah. Wait. Did we get a 10? Yes, we did.
Well, there was an 8.8 Klingon punk acid fans.
I love that.
Ooh,
8.5. A 10 from Braxton. Yes, Braxton is like a convert. He was not vibing with
It
season
took him
1.
it took him a full year
yeah.
to actually watch season 1 because he's like,
And
no, he's loving it.
He succumbed to peer pressure because we kept saying how great the show was. So he started watching it. He actually got through it and enjoyed it. That's awesome. 9.5 from Blue and 8.8 Klingon Punk Acid fans. And Darren, hey Darren, how's it going? Gives it an 8. So that's very cool. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. What have you got to promote? Matt, you want to kick us off? You have anything? Where can people find you?
Twitter at Giselle Ricks, same as it is, just an underscore in between Giselle and Ricks. I will probably be posting more ship model builds because this little guy's got a warp out of space dock. That's what I wanted.
Nice. And are you gonna paint it and stuff? So I hope you post pictures. That's awesome. Do you have a model that it's in scale with by any chance?
I
I do.
Shuttlecraft now.
Oh, you do?
I do. It's in scale with my Enterprise E, so I have
cool.
a full model of that.
Oh,
There'll be plenty of pictures.
Okay, can't wait. That's exciting. So everyone follow Matt at Giselle_Ricks. And Toddy, you can find him on Trek on the Tube, of course, both on Twitter and YouTube. And he's gonna put out his previous week's, which, by the way, there were like a bazillion references.
Like
and,
work got me real
like,
busy, but also just the sheer amount of Easter eggs and I'm pretty sure I didn't get all of
so
them.
it's okay that you're late.
I'm a bit late. I'm a week late, people.
The 1,000 Easter eggs they put in every episode now.
I didn't even
But they
explain
didn't-
Remember
they
this?
didn't go
Remember this?
crazy.
Remember
Yeah.
this? Remember this? Remember this? Remember this?
I didn't
remember
even
this? It's
like go
whoa.
into detail. I just bullet pointed all of them. I was like, there's this. Fucking hell. This
You know what you
one's
should
not
do?
as insane though.
Wait for Father or somebody else like to list them all, and then you don't have to do
Link
it.
their video.
No, there's tons of Aaron Harvey put out like a pretty detailed list. and
Who's
of
the
course-
dude
yeah.
on Twitter who gets really his Swedish
Oh,
name or something?
York.
York.
Yeah.
German?
He gets into like he notices
Well,
things
he,
about it,
fi-
especially
he finds the vase that was in Friends and in TNG, right? So like,
yeah, like the stuff he was pointing out about the Keithshan, his eyes open. Like, I think that must hold a record for most visual references in any Lower Decks episode. Because
In any Star Trek
people
episode.
are still like bringing up things. I'm like, oh, and they're not even references to Star Trek. They're like references to other things
it's like
outside of.
E.T.
E.T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, ET was in there. That
That's
was
crazy.
very cool too. Yeah.
I respect people for going through all that. I would not have the patience, like to do it for me to. If I haven't done any reviews yet, but for me to do a review, I can't go through every past
Well,
Trek reference.
admittedly, when
We
it
just have
gets
to
like
focus
this,
on the story, basically. So.
admittedly, when it gets like this, I use the internet as much, and I say to my like in the video that'll come out, I'm like I used people from Twitter and the internet like blogs
That's-
and websites to help me out because I
That's
couldn't have
perfect.
known. It's like there's a whole bunch of paintings. I don't know who the hell painted these things because they're all real paintings that exist on Earth today. It's like they went and took paintings from artists that I've never even heard of. So like I couldn't, you can't.
let's
do
just
it
say you
yourself.
crowdsource your knowledge.
I try to find
which
as
is
much as I
fine.
can myself because it's kind of part of the fun of it.
But I will say, I share the sentiment PJ does that, like, Lower Decks could get tiring, but I was glad to see that this episode had hardly any, at least, other than like a few little things here and there, it was very much more about the comedy and the story and the characters.
The
which was cool.
references work best, like with what Mariner said, what Matt pointed out earlier, listing off all the ways dead crew members come back. Listing all of those references wasn't essential to the story, but it made sense for her to list
fun.
those things.
Yeah.
And that's the fun kind of references that I like. But just like when she mentions like back in Deep Space Nine, I did
Oh, yeah, I'm
something to
dying to
Worf's.
his
Mech-
Metleth.
what's
Mechleth.
Mechleth. And I was like, really? What? We're gonna learn that Mariner has known literally every single character we've ever loved since TNG. But anyway, yeah.
She's cool. We're gonna find out more about her, and I think it's gonna be pretty awesome.
They should do some kind of one
Absolutely.
whole episode that just goes through her history
I think
and like
it's
actually
coming.
goes back to Deep Space Nine with.
It's gonna.
she
When
knew
was
Worf.
when
She
was
was
Shades
around
of
when
Grey?
Cisco was
That would have
around.
to be like a 40-minute episode though.
When was Shades of Grey season 3's closer or season 2's closer on TNG?
2, I think.
It was season 2. Maybe we'll get a Shades of Grey type of episode closer with Mariner's past coming to light. It might be really cool. Everyone check out PJ at Boat Rack. And PJ, what have you got going on?
Well, Saturday night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, me and Geek and Review are doing
Yay.
commentary on Deep Space Nine Season 1, Captive Pursuit.
Captive Pursuit.
Good
That's That's
episode.
Tosk. I am
Tosk.
Tosk. Very cool.
I do a lot of making fun of O'Brien in the way he talks. I love making
I
fun
don't
of
know what to
O'Brien.
do.
O'Brien and Keiko, like the way they argue. He's like, "But Keiko," and she's like, "Miles." that's the way. Oh, they're so good. I love that couple, man. They're my favorite couple in Star
that's
Trek.
Star Trek's WandaVision.
It is Star Trek.
They're my favorite family. Even I don't know. I wouldn't want to say more than Jake and Cisco, but like on equal level with those guys.
Tomorrow night, I hope you guys will also check out Tex Trek, where he does a deep but fun dive into Star Trek Lower Decks, where he goes into Gorn eggs, as they're called on Tex Trek, not Easter eggs. But Gorn
You want to
eggs
copy
and
somebody for your videos? Copy.
Yeah, he watches it 3 times. He gets screenshots. Like it's fun. It's a lot of fun, y'all. So go check it out.
It's like if you do a video about all your Easter eggs, you should list source Fathery's video.
Just put a link.
Yeah.
He does a pretty great job at covering just about everything. And then afterwards, please join us for Starfleet Boy After Dark, where we'll be talking about Spider-Man trailer and a lot of other stuff, including Star Trek. So
CinemaCon has a buttload of stuff, man. You don't even know the half of it.
I don't even know the half of it.
Jurassic World footage, Matrix 4 footage and trailer, the 10 minutes of Dune, 13 minutes of Top Gun Maverick, all that stuff. But hopefully when CinemaCon is done, I think after today, they'll release at least some of those cool trailers, because
very cool.
I've heard the descriptions, man. And like the Matrix 4 trailer is like all with the White Rabbit song. Doom, 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 doom. And it shows Keanu Reeves being interrogated. Oh, I can't wait to see
Nice.
it. I can't wait to see Matrix 4, man.
You're getting me super hyped. So thank you, audience, again. Live long and prosper, and we will see you all next time. Let me hit